Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 461. Let's jump on in and see who shows up. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting one. I can already tell. And so let's take a look here. I'm trying to remember which of these I've drafted here recently. I know Aurelion Sol hasn't been a recent one, so that's who we're going to take. I think if you're out here just shooting for your 7 winner, both Quinn and Sejuani are fine. This is actually a pretty strong Quinn with your kind of like baseline scout unit to get her leveled up with the Vanguard Sergeant, which is just one of the strongest cards in the game. And so very easy to actually come out here and draft these scouted outs and pick up like 3 and 4 Vanguard Sergeants because it lives in scouted out. Also lives in Relentless, which is the other Quinn archetype. And so just all around super strong bro. But here we'll take this Aurelion Soul. So let's get it pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, we're just over here at ftpbus.com. That's where I keep all of my expedition-related content just all in one handy-dandy little place. And you can see right at the top, Valentine's Day is coming up. Don't forget to get your flowers. With the 14th rolls around and you forgot, it's not my fault. You've been warned. It's the advertisement directly on the site. But yeah, let's get this Dragon's Descent pulled up. And so Aurelion Soul, this one pairs off with Shyvana, and you always see basically 2 decks with Aurelion Soul, right? You have the dragons, and then you have the invokes. And so, as you've probably gotten like intimately familiar with the dragons these days, the Aurelion Soul tries to draft them like a little bit differently than if we were, say, looking to just purely draft around Shyvana. The big Aurelion Soul style dragon card is going to be Herald of Dragons. This is a just super high rolly card that would let us ramp up the future dragons. This is ultimately one of the most powerful curves you can do is to play the Herald of Dragons on 2 and then play either like a Shyvana or a White Flame Protector on 3 and then start in with either your Fused Firebrands or your Challenger Dragons on 4. It's extremely, extremely tough to beat Challenger Dragons anyways. Beating them when you're super far behind on board against a ramped board is a pretty uphill battle. But the downside with the Herald of Dragons is it's very easy to kill, and so if we aren't careful and then our opponent just challenges it down on the second turn, it's very easy for our opponent's challenge to survive, right? Most of the time when you take a challenge on turn 2, you're just getting a trade, but if you get the value hook on 2, it's extremely, extremely powerful. And so the dragons are a little bit weak in that term. And then this is also a horrifically bad draw on like turn 7 or turn 8. And so for on the like Demacia based Shyvana dragon style decks, we might pick up the 1/3 that creates a dragon in our hand, or we might pick up the 3/2 challenger for 2. Yeah, those are still reasonable draws on turn 7 and turn 8. I'm sure we would rather be drawing, something bigger at that point, but they aren't just completely dead as with the Herald of Dragons is. So it's a bit high rolly, but it is definitely powerful if you're able to pick up a few of them and then draft around it. Then the second thing outside of the dragons, Aurelion Soul likes the invokes, and so that would be the second way to kind of pursue these decks. The typical strength weakness style stuff you'll see with Aurelion Soul is the early game is just completely trash, right? You're out here playing things like Startled Stomper and Starry Scamp, the 1/2 for 3 mana with lifelink and a bunch of turds like that. No one has ever been intimidated by a turn 1 Porofly, and that's just the way it works with Aurelion Soul. And then her interactivity is also bad. That's a weakness for Targon in general, right? Targon basically just has the 6 mana Sunburst, and that's it. And so the only ways to make up for that are the best late game in the game. Aurelion Soul, just the most powerful champion, as you would expect out of a 10 coster. And then generating a bunch of invokes in the late game is the most powerful late game thing that you could be doing. And so we'll see how we want to go about this. Likely we'll just be chasing after the dragons, but we'll have to see who turns up here and if there's anything that makes us want to change our mind. And not really with this. None of these packs in terms of Shroom and Boom or Scouted Out Misfortune are going to play well with either of the Aurelion Soul style decks, right? If we're wanting to draft dragons, we're going to look for Demacia or we're going to look for Shadow Isles. And then if we're going to draft the slow control decky kind of things, then we probably either want to be in Shadow Isles or we want to be in something like Freylord. Just not a lot of combos between these. Like Timo wants us to cast a bunch of spells. There's not a lot of spells within Targon. Misfortune wants us to get these scout attacks and have a lot of good combats. And there's just not a ton of combat tricks within Targon either. You can get your Pale Cascades, or you can get your whatever the new thing is that gives 2 dudes +1/+2, but you're not going to find like a lot of multi-attack combos like you would with a Quinn archetype. And so that does bring us back to this Fiora. It's not super strong here, but it is in Demacia, which if we want to draft dragons, that's where we need to be. And it at least has some early plays here, right? We can play Fiora on 3 and maybe kill a unit. The Larned Duelist at least has 6 stats for a 3-drop. It makes up for some of these small places to where these decks fail. And so looking at this Fiora, I know there's not going to be too many synergies. I was really just curious if the Challenger Dragon kind of cards live here. Doesn't look like it does. There is some decent early game here. Laurent Protege is a fantastic early game play, but yeah, a lot of the cards we're looking for don't live in this archetype. Not a ton of early game stuff. There's no Challenger Birds. Something like Brightsteel Protector is, of course, fine, just a 3/2 for 2. But the early game is where we're really going to be hurting here. But I would think that almost immediately a lot of these Shyvana cards will come up. Like the Dragon's Descent Shyvana pairs off with Aurelion Soul. So taking the Demacia Champion, we should start seeing some of these. And this is where a lot of the early game power will come from. And so the Dragon Guard Lieutenant, the Egghead Researcher, things like Ruined Dragon Guard all turning up. This is how these decks style out their early game. And so since I'm pretty sure we'll be drafting dragons, there's not too much help for drafting Invokes-based decks out of Demacia. The big thing is just making sure you find these early plays. If you start having these hands to where, it's turn 5 and you have 2 4-drops, a 5-drop, and a 6-drop, and you can't really spend all of your mana every turn, you're going to fall behind. You a lot of times need to just play 2 of any card in the same turn. You don't really care what they are. You just need to stem the tide on the board. And if you find your hand with those like slow, really heavily curve-centric draws, you're just going to fall too far behind. And so you usually don't care what mid-game and late game you have. It's all just good enough, right? But the early game is the important part to fill out. And so, we would ideally be picking up Screeching Dragons. But, if our dragon package is the 5/5 Fury Spell Shield dude instead of the Screeching, it's not as strong, but he's still good enough to just come down and end some games on his own. And so it's really that early game we're looking to fill out here. But welcome to the squad, Fiora. Let's see what else turns up. Ooh, boy, Wish. Man, I've really wanted Wish, said no one ever. But this is the pack we're going to take. I want to do 2 things with this. The Ruined Dragon Guard is just the strongest card out of all of these options here. Just so many decks in the game get shut down by playing a 4-attack unit on turn 3. And this dude having so much upside is just really, really bonkers. Like, I get that they upgraded him for Constructed, but I really wish that these would get somewhat removed from Expedition so that they didn't live in every Shyvana archetype. And then I would also love it if you could see if, they could rare shift this thing up to rare or something so that doesn't turn up as frequently. But, to our deck's benefit, we should hopefully be able to pick up quite a few of these Ruined Dragon Guards, even though Wish is quite bad. This is the way I like to see the Dragon Guard turn up, right? This is why we like to see these bad cards added to archetypes that really weakens the quality of this Dragon Guard here. But nonetheless, moving forward, really strong pack here in the middle. Again, the early game is what we're worried about. Picking up a Badger Bear with the Fleet Feather Tracker is quite good. Definitely don't want to delve into Freylord, and then these Daybreak cards to the right are just not what we're looking for. But look at this, man. You got a 3/4 just standard style unit, or you could have a 3/4 that doubles your Furies. I mean, I wonder which one you would prefer. But anyways, here we go again. Another pack of just 2-drops. That looks extremely good. Again, we care about the early game. We'll kind of just let the late game fall to us. And this is some decent late game down here with the Lunari Priestess. There's nothing wrong with picking up Invokes. And we are pretty light in the mid and the late game here, just with the Fused Firebrand and their Aurelion Soul. I don't want to worry about it too much at this point, but it's nice to pick up a little something. But the one I'm going to go with here is the Ranger's Resolve Strafing Strike. I haven't talked about it yet, but one of the most important things you'll see with these decks in terms of combat tricks is making sure they cost 1 mana. Like, we may have another 1-drop at the end of the day, but we probably won't. But then it's pretty easy to just curve from that point forward. You play, a Dragon Guard Lieutenant on 2, a Badger Bear on 3, a Shyvana on 4, a Fused Firebrand on 5. We're not really finding anywhere in here to save up for combat tricks, right? You can maybe play a 4 on turn 5 so that you have 2 mana, but having these 1 mana combat tricks is extremely powerful. You don't want to find yourself in these places to where it's turn 6 and your only play for the turn is a riposte, right? And so the Ranger's Resolve really fits in nicely with these style of decks. Okay, so speaking of riposte, I think that's the one we're going to land on here. I'm okay with Dragon Chow, but I don't like Lunari Dustbringer here. This is a real turd in the style of deck we're trying to assemble. I don't think we're going to need to chase after any more of this situational removal. We already have 1 single combat. We have 1 strafing strike. We'll probably incidentally pick up 1 more along the way, and so I don't want to go out of my way to find these, but I won't be upset if we get another one. And so we're going to go with the Badger Bear and the riposte here. Our curve is looking good, and now here we go. Now we're starting to get to pick up some mid and some late game, and so I think I want to just go with our first Screeching Dragon here. This is the best of the kind of the mid game dragons, the 4 and the 5 and the 6 cost ones. This is what we really like to fill out that portion of our deck with, and so we probably won't get too much usage out of Honored Lord. Need just an early game play, but the Screeching is big. And then it is kind of tempting to pick up the likes of like White Flame Protector, Moondreamer. If we had a bunch of the dragon thing that makes your dragons cost 1 less, then I would be kind of interested in the White Flame Protectors. Since we don't have any Shyvanas, right? We have 1 Aurelion Soul, we have 1 Fiora. We're missing that big play curve if we do spike those Herald of Dragons, and so we would like to fill out with the Protectors, but our deck isn't there. It looks like it might be kind of challenging to actually pick up some of those style of cards. Okay, so I'm not like drawn to the Penitent Squire here, but I at least want to check our elite count real quick. The Duelist isn't elite. I don't think we have any besides this 1 Honored Lord, so it's going to be pretty tough to activate this ability. So if we're going to go with the Grand Plaza, I think I still want to just take the cheaper play here. We're starting to get a pretty good number of these 3 cost units. Like we have 2 Badger Bears and 1 Dragon Guard to go along with our Fiora and Lauren Duelist, and so I'm just going to go with the cheaper play here. The Blinding Assault will fit in a lot of our curves just by incidentally banking some spell mana. Okay, then here looking for the Detain. We haven't seen any Concerted Strikes yet, and so I want to pick up something. This guaranteed removal is quite good. The Cavalier is fine. This is usually a pretty strong 2-for-1. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, and then the Concerted Strike immediately shows up. But this, I'm going to go with the Screeching Dragon. I'm a little unhappy with our top end at this point. I do intend to just draft a second Aurelion Soul so that we can call ourselves an Aurelion Soul deck, but we need some Screeching Dragons, or we need a Cadrigen that passes out Challenger. We need a little bit more in the top end here. So the Screeching is good. The Mobilize is still pretty weak, but I think we can survive ourselves here. With this, I'm going with the Captain Erika. Again, we need another removal spell. She's quite good on those terms, and then I'm not interested in the Great Horn Companions or this landmark package down to the right. Okay. Well, I think I'm good with these challengers now, right? We have a Fleet Feather Tracker, we have a Dragon Guard Lieutenant, we have a Quinbird. We don't have a lot of the combos to help these things survive, right? We don't have a lot of things to pass out barriers and stuff, so I'm just going to let those go. I'm just going to come down here and pick up the White Flame Protector pack. Hopefully we can trade this Scamp away at some point, but I want to add in just a little bit more mid-game, and here the Dragon Guard Lookout is okay. All right, so good deal. Get rid of Wish for the Screeching Dragon. This will be our 3rd Screeching. I don't like to go above 3, but I'm definitely glad to have 3. And then Wish is just much worse than Mobilize. Mobilize, that actually speaks volumes to how bad Wish is. I really don't like Mobilize, but Wish is... it did hold, in my opinion, the rank as the worst card in Expedition, but they did release that Ascended Rise, the thing that... the 7 cost thing that makes all of your, your Shurima champions level up or something. It's fucking abysmal. So it's a tough nut to crack there, getting above and beyond the Wish, but I feel like it's done it. But all right, you know what time it is. We do have to go and turn something premium. I'm not thinking there's going to be any commons left for us, but definitely take a peek here. All of the units are accounted for. All of the spells are accounted for. All right. Let's see. Ooh, there was the Herald of Dragons. We talked about her extensively, and she just didn't show up today. And the more I play Constructed, the more and more happy I am that Wounded White Flame isn't in Expedition. This card would just be completely nutsos. And so I think it would be okay in Expedition if it was like Epic. So you just had to deal with like one copy ever turning up. But whenever we're out here assembling these decks that have like 3 and 4 Wraith Callers, like I can't imagine a deck having like 3 and 4 Wounded White Flames in it. It would be incredibly tough to deal with. But don't worry about him today. Oh, and the Dragon Guard lookout. All right, she's ready to bring us some premium rallies. I'm feeling good about it. All right, let's get on in there. So yeah, not a bad little deck. It just feels to me like a little bit stronger just to be playing all the Shyvanas. Like I feel like that this is how you drafted it on your own. You're just going to go out there and pick Shyvana as your third and fourth champion. I don't consider it a build around though, unless we get 2 copies of a champion. And so just kind of for the memeage, we are stuck drafting 2 Aurelion Souls here. But it shouldn't throw our deck off too much. It's okay. She is, I guess, the ultimate late game here, and so I'm sure we'll get a win or 2 with the big dragon. Oh shit! I forgot we got Pool Party Fiora. Welcome to that premium treatment. So let's see. The single combat is strong. Probably should hang on to it. I like the ideas here that like single combat is extremely good at killing Twisted Fate. And then Misfortune is one of the more dangerous champions in the game. So we'll hang on to the bit of interactivity here. That's a pretty strong draw. Looking good. I'm curious if we want to just mobilize next turn. Like, we don't need to do it. We can stop and make a decision, right? I think I'm just going to wait on this. We'll full bank up the mana. And then get immobilized this turn. It's just, he's probably going to open, which he's doing here. We can't interact with the Prowling Cutthroat anyways. Yeah, so let's start getting all these dudes down now. This should be a pretty decent Ranger's Resolve next turn if we'd like as well, right? We can hook the Cutthroat with a Challenger Bird. We can hook the Jagged Butcher with the Fiora, and then get a Ranger's Resolve in and protect all of our units. It's pretty strong. They would fall by my blade. Like he doesn't want to interact with this stuff. I can't quite blame him. The downside here is we do have to show the Ranger's Resolve first. So he knows beforehand if he's going to be able to take down our White Flame Protector. This is okay. We're pretty handy at taking down the Swole Squirrel, even if he has like a the thing that passes out elusive to it. Right, if he has a Fey Guide. So how do we actually want to go about this? Where this would be concerning is if we strike it and then he has a trick to save it. And then we just get blasted for the full 12 damage here. And so I'm going to wait until next turn to try and deal with this. I mean, we have all of these challengers now. And so we should be pretty handily available to take this down with 2 cards. Interesting. So we need to send the Fiora into the... need to send Fiora into the Swole Squirrel. We don't have a lethal this turn, right? We could look to hook something with the Challenger Bird and come in for 4 with the Screeching Dragon, but we're a little light on damage there. Spirit's Refuge. Okay. So who do we want to use to try and take this thing down with? We think we just want to hit it with the Egghead Researcher. Right, he's our worst unit that we have on board. So we can definitely lose this game, right? If he has a Homecoming or a way to gain a bit of health, you can certainly take this down. But this looks okay. We attacked in the wrong order as well, right? We should have we should have basically lost all the damage on that attack. We should have put the challenge way over on the left so that he would have to gain the health before the rest of our dudes got to strike. But it's okay. We'll survive it, I think. Excellent. If he has a trick to take down the dragon, it's pretty okay. Yeah, we're getting pretty far ahead now. Now we can look to do these things to where we just hook his units and then chunk in for a big attack. Which is just like... we're going to have to do like lose a 4... Like, we only have the 2 challengers on the ends. Like, what would our 3 biggest units be, right? That's not going to be enough. It's 12 plus 4, 16? Is it worth an overwrite? I'm not really amped about it, but we don't have, like, great challenges onto the Horns of the Dragon either. Okay. Into 1. Man, do we want to do this? We could, like, well, I don't know. We probably shouldn't just go for it. It's easy for him to just play another unit, right? And if we overwrite something and he just throws down another unit, then it's not super worthwhile. All right. He pilfered goods at our Grand Plaza. That's completely fine. Here's a dude you can hook and kill. Do not care. as long as we don't die this turn, then everything's going to be fine. This is one of these boards to where if you're not getting if you're not getting value hooks, then it's pretty painful for you, right? Because we can probably refill our board. So if he say takes the soloist and hooks in the White Flame Protector, we can probably fill out our board to where he's certainly going to struggle to do so. But we're fine now. Alright, so these two have the challenger. Send these bros in. Send these hooks in. I think it should do it. Opponent makes facepalm. I'm not sure. Somebody missed something, I guess, but not a bad start. Okay, so what are we doing here? It does look like the Shyvana is starting to show up. I'm just going to take the Aurelion Soul here. Again, technically, you know, if you're just out here drafting for the strength of your 7, you're just going to want to take the Shyvana pack. Although I'm not like really amped about it. I wouldn't really want 2 Captain Arikas in decks like this. And it's like if we're getting a Cadrigen, I would kind of rather have the one with the Dragon Chow. But yeah, if you're out here drafting your 7, I would go for the Shyvanas. But we're calling this an Aurelion Soul build around today, and so we gotta get the 2 A-Souls just to make it fair. Good deal, good deal. Hope everyone's having a good Monday out there. We'll see how my Monday's going to be. We haven't gotten to the Chiefs game just yet. I've got my good Chiefs hoodie on. I've got my snacks prepared. The beers are on the ready. Just gotta you gotta see if we make it through it. And it's tough. Like it's certainly a losable match today against the Bengals. The Bengals did beat us at the end of the season there, and there's some definite worries now. Oh, nice draw. But my kind of stance on it for you football folks out there is that it's kind of like the last game was that in any given Sunday aspect to it. anyone can lose on any particular Sunday. Your team gives up 3 turnovers, or the defense gets like a pick six and a fumble or something. Then it's not unreasonable to see your team go out there and lose, and that's what I felt like happened in the Bengals game. It was Jamar Chase tore off like a very nice 69-yard touchdown pass, and then he got another like 78-yarder or something. And hang on, I'm talking football and losing it here. Let me get this squared away real quick. We'll get the tracker in. We're going to get an umbrellaed Honored Lord and be ready. But I feel like we got any given Sunday on the last one, and so hoping that's not the case this week. But that's enough football for everyone. You can go read about the Tom Brady retirement drama, whatever you want. We'll keep it away from the football for the rest of the way. We're talking about American football for you Europeans out there. If you couldn't figure out the soccer, we'll start talking about Sporting KC, so you all could get a taste of your get a taste of your real footballs, if you will. I still haven't been to a Sporting KC game. I gotta pull that off. It's pretty wild. Like, Kansas City is a small market team, or just small market in general. New York and Los Angeles get all the big stuff. The David Beckhams of the world go to Los Angeles to play for their $20 million a year contracts or whatever. In the 2010s, the Chiefs did pull off the full combo of the Royals winning the World Series, the Sporting KC winning the MLS championship, and then the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, all within a decade of each other, and it's pretty wild for a small market to do stuff like that. But at any rate, what are we doing here? This Fiora is starting to get to the scary mode. We don't have great answers to her. I also don't really just want to slam challengers into it while opponent has 6 mana. And so I could see a world where... Ooh. Interesting. I was going to say, I could see a world where we just play cards here and don't attack. Like, if they just keep passing back and forth with all of their mana up, then we can definitely let this go. But then I'm also not opposed here to just, I was going to say, if Fiora gets 1/1, just attacking everything that isn't Fiora. And that's kind of where we're stuck here. So we'll try to take down the big boys, see if we can't bait out any of their combat tricks. I have to say he probably doesn't have a barrier at this point, right? Or he would have kept 3 mana up. And then, he is playing 2 copies of action, 1 copy of Fiora. So I don't feel like this is a big Fiora build around, but... she's about to come in here and do some nastiness to us. Not that nasty. We did just pick up the biggest draw we could find in the detain. But let's let him get invested in this Fiora, and then we'll protect ourselves a little bit. Right? We have a pretty powerful board if we didn't draw. Or he has a pretty powerful board if he's able to come in and hook the Ruined Dragon Guard or something and have basically free challenges on Fiora. Oh, fuck. That is the painful one. Okay. We can still win this. That's just a little scary with her having the spell shield now. I'm looking at this double Empyrean attack is our way to try to take this game down. So the new thing we're gonna have to try and do is, like, we only have 12 damage coming out of the Empyrean, so we're gonna have to find a way to punch in for 3. And so, man, this is brutal. We don't have like the good hooks with Screeching Dragon anywhere because his units are all big. Fuck. How disastrous is it if, well, it's like we do have just like hooks onto Fiora, but they're not quite good enough. Fuck. Alright. I'd say this one's probably done. We can't kill him fast enough before she can hook down a Penitent Squire. F. Alright, maybe there's something we can draw. Or Or he'll do something weird. We might be able to get a single combat or something out of this.
Don't worry, I'll spot any danger.
Just a little short. I mean, we did have the opportunity to challenge her down, and it felt fairly safe, but... Oh. Well, that'll save us a little bit. Maybe we can take this down with the Empyrean. Just the actual have-it-alls. We can start with this. Choose an ally. Let's use the Dragon Guard Lieutenant. Capture the little thing. Alright. Step 1 complete. Let's get this Fiora on board now. Now we have the riposte to protect down here on the left. I don't care about the rest of these combats. I would like to not get the Empyrean involved. We're not anywhere near dying, and so let's leave this one back and out of combat. Then hopefully we still just get this win here. The Absolver. So that's to protect his Fiora. He punches in some damage as well, but he's not killing us, which turns out to be non-zero amount of importance. Did we do it? Oof. Oof. Almost went upper right on that one as well. Fucking A. Oh, nice. Good stuff. Good job, team. That's what feels good right there. So what are we doing with these? The Fleet Feather Tracker is definitely an upgrade over the Dustbringer. We don't need Cythria. You know, we already have a couple of 10-cost ladies. I don't really feel the need to add in a third one. And then the Screeching Dragon is an upgrade over this Larn Duelist. I don't feel like it's a trade we want to make frequently, though, because you can come into these turn 4s to where you're giving your loyal Badger Bear Challenger or something to take down one of our opponent's 3/3s or something. And so it has some uses here, even though it's really slow. And so let's just pick up the Fleet Feather Tracker. These Dusk Petal Dusts are never useful in our deck. We didn't pick up the... what's it called? The Invoke Nightfall dude. Don't have any Nightfalls in our deck. We don't have any Eclipse Dragons. Man, I miss Eclipse Dragon. That used to be the kind of the premier thing in drafting these Aurelion Soul decks was... You would get into Targon for Eclipse Dragon, and then playing the 7/7 and nightfalling up the 2 additional cards was just a fantastic source of card advantage. But I haven't seen that guy in forever. I assume he's still good, but man. It's an artifact of when the archetypes used to get balanced. Have to kind of pick and choose how many Eclipse Dragons we're running around. Okay. Up against Pantheon. Captain Erika should be good here, but can't be keeping 8 drops in our opener. Cycle them away for 10 drops. That's fair. But, I mean, it should be reasonable. This is, again, kind of the space why I wanted to keep the Larn Duelist. We have 2 units in our hand that should be pretty good targets for this Challenger ability, to where picking up a 4th Screeching Dragon isn't that spectacular here. Alright, so he's going to gem up the Saga Seeker. Sure thing. We can't take this down. Well, we can take it down in combat. It's just not super likely to do so. If he attacked, I would definitely block. But I'm talking in terms of our next turn here, where we want to Larn Duelist the Honored Lord, try and take down the Saga Seeker. This should be good, though. If we get like a Naked Pale Cascade out of this, we're not like dropping any cards here, right? We're just continuing to add dudes to the board. And now it should be tough for him to play another unit this turn, right? It has to be impossible. If he had a 1-drop here, he would have just thrown it down. So feel pretty good in those terms. And then now I want to get like this dragon into our hand and then mobilize up our expensive units. We still have pretty good blocks on this board. I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if he just doesn't attack. And now we can bank all that spell mana and get a decent immobilize. So it's like now, even if he has a Pantheon turn, it's not that bad. Battle Bonds, okay. Not super ideal, but let's slam some stats onto this board. I don't want to lose our Screeching Dragon, but let's just get rid of these dum-dums to try and put some damage onto his units. It's like I'm curious to see how he goes about this, if he's just going to be like all in on the Saga Seeker, or if he has another, has like, you know, the Pantheon in the background we want to save this Detain for. But I mean, we're pretty healthy here. I feel pretty good about just throwing the dragon in front of the Saga Seeker and trying to get a takedown that way. The Saga Seeker does not come in. Alright. Well, whatever the tricks are, I'm on board for it. I think the worst for us would be like the +1/+2 across 2 units, but I think if he had that, he probably would have attacked with the Saga Seeker, right? Because it would have given him +2/+3, and then with 6 health, he would have survived the Fused Firebrand. So I don't think that that's really a thing here. And then if he plays the Pale Cascade onto our... oh, wow. I was going to say, if he plays the Pale Cascade onto the Ibex, that's still a pretty decent turn for us. So many challengers. Okay, we can get a pretty big combo here between all of the challengers we have, the Dragon Guard coming down this turn as well, and then the Detain. How far away is he from leveling Pantheon? He needs 1 card for Pantheon. We gotta start coming in for the damages, though. It's pretty light on mana. Let's just add Fiora as well. And so we're just going to be like throwing a unit into the Fused Firebrand. Kind of the same deal with the Saga Seeker. I would assume that he's going to have a trick for the Saga Seeker, but we're still chipping away at his health, right? This thing is not that scary when it only has like 3 health or 2 health, and we're able to just block it. So something like this. Chunks him down to 6, and then his blocks are reasonable. He's going to have to, play a card somewhere, right? Exactly what we were expecting. I did not expect this Fiora to survive the combat or win the combat, but these are, reasonable blocks now. He's getting ground out of cards, and we can now kill some of these dudes. And we got Aurelion Soul next turn. For the rest of the game, allied buffs are permanent, right? Okay. KDA noises, womp womp. And that's fine. I'm going to play the Cavalier, and then I'm going to play the Detain this turn as well. I want to ensure that we get one of these units off the board right before we drop Aurelion Soul. Okay. You're getting detained, Saga Seeker. That's the way it is. He can still pick up like a spell shield this turn. Like if he has a Bastion, it would be kind of awkward, but Let's give it a shot. All that work right down the tubes. Womp womp.
The dead do not want us to mourn, but live.
There comes the spell shield. Okay, should be tough to deal with. He can like single combat out of some of this, but very good looking attack. I didn't bother to count the power, but also a pretty decent chance we'd have flipped our Aurelion Soul. Might have had to wait a turn for that, but had a lot of power on board. But cool. And so, yeah, I don't feel the need to draft more Aurelion Souls since since we officially have our 2 copies. And then this one doesn't even have cards that we want. Dragon's Clutch is kind of like whatever. It's not particularly strong. Like, it's very challenging to actually use this +1/+1 ability, but the Overwhelm is, pretty nice. You do run into some of these boards that were kind of like the classic elites boards, to where you would have like a big bunch of like 5/5s and 6/6s and 7/7s on the board, but you couldn't actually win the game because your opponent's just out there blocking all your shit with hapless aristocrats. And so this Overwhelm ability is nice. I forget when they added that in. It wasn't part of the original card. But I don't want to pick up a 3rd Aurelion Soul, and I don't want a 2nd Captain Eureka. And so I'm not opposed to picking up a Dragon's Clutch, I just don't really want it. And then down here with Shyvana, we do have this Herald of Dragons attached in her stack. So maybe we'll get some big turns with that one. But cool. Nice collection of games so far. Maybe we'll even put an Aurelion Soul on the board before the trial's done. We technically could have dropped her that game, but didn't do it. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Another one out here running the A-Souls. I would assume that this guy's probably on the Invoke deck as opposed to the dragons, since there's no dragons in Freylord, but we'll have to wait and see. A little unfortunate. I was taking a bit of a risk in holding onto this Mobilize. I feel like we can do a similar thing that we did in those previous games, to where we just bank up for a bit and then we're able to just drop it. But we did pick up 1 unit. I guess it's not it's not enough to really be bitching about just picking up the 1 spell, but let's see. And then we do have a lot of potential just to get him here, right? We are passing back with the intent to play Mobilize, but we don't have the dragon. Fuck. I was going to say, if he plays like I don't know, an Egghead Researcher of his own, well, he's not in Demacia, but the same thing applies, right? If he plays a 1/1 here, we could potentially pop it with the Dragon Guard Lieutenant, but don't have a dragon. Now we have a dragon. I think I kind of like doing this. Let's play the Egghead, right? We're not cheaping him up just yet, but we're going to draw a dragon, which is guaranteed to be kind of expensive. And so now we can mobilize, make everything cheaper, and still drop our Dragon Guard Lieutenant without wasting any spell mana. Okay, and then I don't want to get like super heavily invested in this Rhymefang Wolf. Like, I don't want to be throwing Screeching Dragons onto the Wolf just to have our dude get frostbitten. But I want to get 2 units on the board this turn. And so I've got to drop the Badger Bear first, give them a chance to spend some mana. I'm going to drop the Fiora second. And then if, we challenge the Wolf with Fiora and she gets frostbitten, then fine. You tried, girl. But I'm not counting on this hook to actually be that big. Okay. Didn't add anything. I don't think we need to come out and try to trade with this Icevale Archer. So we'll let Pool Party Fiora just hang out here. Yep. Okay. Do you have any elites? You do not. Cool. And again, we're not like really invested in this Fiora. I'm still going to try and take down the wolf. You can lose your Badger Bear this way, right? If he has a Frostbite coming back onto our Badger Bear, he does still get the strike onto it, but it just such a drain on his resources if he's trying to pull off stuff like that. And we got all the stats on board. Looking pretty strong. Check my stats, bruh. We got so many. We're gonna take the value hook onto the 4/4. I don't think this is successful all the time. He does have a ton of mana back here, so he might be dropping a Fury of the North on his 4/4. But that's fine. He's not going to be adding more units to the board if that's his play. Three Sisters, yep. So you got the boosted dragon, but we get to chunk in for 1,000,000 damage, and in terms of this dragon next turn, we can just take the damage and then rehook it with Fiora. I did want to wait and see if we picked up an elite. It would be pretty nice to just add in an umbrella, but didn't pick one up. That's okay.
Faster than my arrow? I think not.
Okay. So we're going to be just a little bit short of lethal this turn, but all of our attacks are pretty good. So let's just send... I guess this is the question, is do we want to hook... Well, we probably want to just hook Ashe, right? I don't really care if we lose Shyvana to the White Flame Protector. I guess we are repping lethal, right? He blocks our biggest units. He's still getting killed down here to the left. Looks pretty strong. He has to play his Frostbites to not die as opposed to not losing the combats. And so I would assume that, if he has a Harsh Winds this turn, he's still losing everything except the White Flame Protector. Okay, this takes him to 1. Is this Ashe gonna flip? I forget about this stuff. Ooh, that would have actually been a disaster if he had the Harsh Winds to flip his Ashe. It's so strange that she comes in for 4 flash freezes instead of 5, but all right, let's add the Squire. It's the worst unit that we would have to lose here. I don't think we have to worry about getting lethal, but I'm curious what's going to happen. This one? You're not going to gem your Protector? Okay. Got him. Weird. I was surprised you didn't put the gem on it and hope for the best. Alright, the battles continue. What are we doing here? I don't want Rummel. I'm happy to get rid of this Mobilize. It's pretty meh. I try to think if I've actually enjoyed it in any of these games. We've kind of done well with the Mobilize, but like how we talked quite a bit about the Herald of Dragons being bad late. This is also extremely bad late, and you can mulligan into these hands to where you just have one unit and a Mobilize, and it's just not worth the play. So let's get rid of it while we can. I do concede that it was pretty decent in some of these games that we played, but it's not something I really want in general. All right, I'm going to give you all one of my life tips. I spew these out on occasion. They're all very useful. We do have the Chiefs game today. You gotta bring a snack, right? You gotta bring a treat. You can't just show up. Uh, there's nothing wrong with just bringing the bag of Doritos and the 2 liter of Mountain Dew. That's but when you're looking to step it up a little bit, I talk extensively about picking that one good Thanksgiving slash Christmas dish and making it yours. And I have taken deviled eggs to be my thing. And so whenever we show up to a Christmas event or something, there's going to be deviled eggs because you're making them and bringing them, and they're not going to be shitty because you made them. And then you're really good at it because you have to make them like 6 times a year because it's your thing. So, with that in mind, the kind of new snack that I've developed for these things is it's the caprese salad. And so I don't like to just make the salad. That's kind of meh. Nobody wants to go to the game and deal with a fucking bowl of salad. But I have found that you just get a toothpick and you get like a cherry tomato or a grape tomato, whatever you call them, and then you put some basil on it, and then you put some you put some mozzarella on the end. It's fucking choice. It's a nice little finger food because it's on a stick, and that is the FTP bust pro tip of the day. You're not going to get to use it for the game this year, but maybe you can use it for the Super Bowl or something. And, really, really wow the fam with your tasty dishes. Now, the mistake I learned from this the first time I made it is the recipe that I initially had recommends that you. This is dangerous. This is just going to go bad, right? Gonna lose. Well, I guess if he has a flash freeze, it's bad. If he has just a standard trick, it's not that bad. But the recipe I initially used for this creation recommended that you. You ever gonna trade with this? You can add the firebrand here and then hook down next turn. It recommended that you boil balsamic vinegar to reduce it into a nice little syrupy kind of thing. If you really want your wife to hate you, go ahead and boil a bunch of balsamic vinegar. I'll tell you what, your house is going to reek of vinegar, and your wife will hate you for at least a day. And so, the additional bust tip part 2: be well aware of boiling vinegar in your house. Your wife probably won't appreciate it, but hey. Those caprese salad skewers are pretty good. Nice little healthy snack. Really bring out the wow factor. So, all right. All that aside, what are we gonna do here? These 2 hearth guards are fucking scary, man. All of his cards he draws are gonna have +2/+2 now. We don't have good hooks onto this thing. We could play a Dragon Guard Lookout. Oh no, he doesn't have 6 health. I guess we'll just go for another trade. I'm not happy about this. This board's just going to be so much bigger than ours because he's dropped those 2 things. Rika, okay. Give us a little bit of hope here. We'll take a Nivea down next turn. We're going to lose out on this Valor, which is kind of meh. But I don't think we're quite ready to just drop Dragon Guard Lookouts. Let's just pass. He's going to attack. No reason to soak up this damage onto our other units. We made that mistake a video or 2 ago. We're not going to do that here. And let's just start slamming some stuff on the board. It's a big dragon. I feel like this is our best ad. And next turn, we're going to Captain Eureka the Anivia. Can be a little scary, right? He does have all of his units have +2/+2 now, so we're gonna have to like deal with some big boys. But let's see where this gets us. We don't need to be like super greedy on this though, right? I mean, we've got Aurelion Soul in hand, and if we have a board full of units, she's gonna flip pretty fucking fast. So if he drops, a +2/+2 5/5, like Icy Yeti, perfect example, We can just stall for a bit and try and be on the Aurelion Soul plan. Man, them birds is big. All of these units got the +2/+2. What happens if we play Starry Scamp? Like, this is our worst unit. Alright. It's at least going to have the 3 attack because of the Grand Plaza. Oh, fuck. So we're losing our Captain Erika? Alright. Let's wait on combat to end here. There is a world where he does something dumb, and right, and we get to use the Captain Erika elsewhere. All right. Let's at least try to protect our stats here a little bit. We'll get the Aurelion Soul down next turn. So how much is this? 5, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14? Oh, well, I don't know how this works. With Aurelion Soul having... If she has a Grand Plaza point. Oh, total power is... Oh, it only has to be 20. It used to be 25, right? Alright, so what are we taking out of these? Cosmic Rays, probably not going to do anything here. Let's just take the Immortal Fire. It's going to be free next turn. Right, when she flips. Your Celestials cost 0. Hearthguard number 3? Are you serious? Way to pick up those epics, dude. Jesus. So how do we want to go about this? Like, I don't want to get, like, too involved into the combat here, but we can do the 1 unit. Let's go ahead and try and take down his, like, 1 challenger unit here. And then we'll still be over... right, we'll have 21 power on board and get the flipped Aesol. Okay. Insane. So many Hearthguards. Yeah, the Forger of Stars. Fucking get him. Here's a Supernova. If he doesn't open, we can take down Anivia and something else. You can do it anyways. You shouldn't be able to kill our Aesol. What you got for us, dude? Can already tell I'm not gonna like it. Pack mentality. Okay. So let's take down the Anivia, and then the biggest unit after that, which would be his 9/9 here. That's gonna leave him. We're at 9. Can we even block this stuff and not die? We can put Aesol in front of Reaver, and then we're gonna have 9 in front of. Okay, we're fine. He loses out on tons of damage losing this Anivia when she doesn't get the AoE. We may not have enough now. Alright, it says we're at 3. Let's switch this block around so the bigger damage is on the unit without regenerate. And now, I'm pretty sure we can play the Immortal Fire. I mean, we might as well just rally this turn, right? And then we can open next turn with the Mortal Fire again.
And they said the dragons were gone. Fight me. I lucky you.
Where are we at? Laurent Protege. Okay. We're close. Oh, the Scourge. Ah, yes. Oh man, and we get to play the Skaz Descend? I haven't got to play the Skaz Descend in ages. Don't concede, gal. Let me play my cards. Let me drop them. We're out here to have some fun today. We've been talking football and fucking caprese skewers. Like, you gotta let us continue on the fun. This is what life's about when you get fucking old. Oh my gosh, and look at this. Look at this. Oh man. What a fucking high roll coming from the triple Hearthguard and then hitting double Troop of Elnix. Oh my dude. Suck it. Oh man. Talk about making the day right there. Get that shit out of here. Oh, that has to feel so bad to roll so high and still get blown up. Oh my goodness. I love it. Oh man. I don't know what else you could throw at us here. I've been making the mistake of saying I can't imagine how we lose and then losing, and so let's at least give this another hot minute before we think it's done. But you have to concede, right? Getting 3 epics in the Hearthguard and getting to play them all in one game, and then playing Troop of Elnix and hitting 2 troops in your top 6. Oh, it feels so good to just blow that stuff up. Oh my gosh, did we get the rage quit? Did we get the rage quit? Oh, it feels so good. Oh man. Wow. That's what life's about right there. Put this one on the calendar as the funnest game 2022. Getting the rage quit while we're at it. So good. Watch that timer go down. Here we go. My squad's ready to get in the red zone. Boom. What do we got? Neg 36. Looks pretty nice. Pretty nice. Oh, man. Screw playing and stuff like seasonals. This is what life's all about. Boom. LOL. Oh, getting the rage quit. So good. So good. He knew. He knew you play the triple Hearthguard and hit the double troop and still fucking lose. Oh, what a joyous treat. So, okay, what are we doing here as we move on? I don't want I don't want Wish. I would like to get rid of Starry Scamp, although these Fleet Feather trackers are kind of meh. But I guess, well, I don't know. We have the option for a Hush, which it's quite strong. Our interactivity in combat is currently limited to Riposte and the Ranger's Resolve, and so it would be nice to add a bit of the good interactivity here, especially in terms of being like, oh, here's a what's he called, like Pantheon. There's so many Pantheons running around because of the appearance bonuses and stuff. Just having a second answer beyond our Detain is kind of nice. What's our 3-drop count look like? We have 3 Badger Bears, 1 Dragon Guard, and then the Duelist Fiora. Alright, well, I'm going to get rid of the Scamp, but I feel like this Hush might be the correct choice in the day. Alright, on to that pre-final battle. I'm stoked. Man, what a fun game that was. People out here thinking that playing cards like Vigio and Vengeance and Grasp of the Undying is fun. No, you're wrong. You've never been so wrong in your whole life. Watch me play the Ruination. No, fuck you. This is what it's all about. All right. More Aurelion Soul, this time with some Zoes and stuff. And so, I mean, she's not like as scary as a Teemo would be, but I do like having some of this early game stuff to deal with Zoe. And so we can keep the Grand Plaza. I don't think that this guy's deck should be like super aggressive. And then we can look to play the Grand Plaza on 3 and then something else on 4. But we need to at least try and search up some early game if we're going to give up a lot of our initiative just trying to drop the Grand Plaza on the board. We did just pick up Blinding Assault, so we can't answer a Zoe. But let's see. Not going to play it here. I would rather play it on our next attack so it gets a bit of a boost from the Grand Plaza. All right. Everybody playing No Rush 15. the classic in StarCraft. That's what I remember it from. You'd get in the custom games, you would say No Rush 15. So everyone just sat around and built up their base for 15 minutes and assembled huge armies before they went out and attacked each other. Classic. Classic. But let's see here. Let's give him a chance to add something else to the board before we drop Shyvana or before we drop Fleet Feather Tracker Ruined Dragon Guard. Okay. So we can chunk in for some big damage here. I saw this and I was like, oh no, we're going to get AoE'd. No. Slam in the big damages here. Okay. So how do we feel in terms of we can hook the 3/2 with either the Dragon Guard. Gift Giver comes in. Interesting. I think we just accept the 3 damage on the turn. We're gonna lose something, so let's put the little damage down on the Dragon Guard now and just get the hook with the tracker. Curious if we should have just dropped the Shyvana. This feels like a lot of things could just go wrong with that style of play. We'll drop her now. He doesn't have much interactivity happening here, and we should get a nice like double attack next turn. Okay, the snake will kill the bird, that's fine. Still think we should be able to attack with both units and then follow up with the Dragon Guard. Like if he wants to trade his ballistic bot for the Dragon Guard, that's fine. This is not too scary. A little worse now. Do we change our mind? I kind of like adding the Researcher. It gives us a chance to kind of see what's up. Maybe we draw kind of a mid-rangey dragon, and if not, we can still play Strafing Strike. Also kind of tempted, if he passes, to kind of wait on combat just to pass. We have this really slow hand here, right? We've got... we're not really... This wants to be like a tempo draw, right? This would be a different story if we did pick up like a 3 or a 4 drop here. But this is certainly looking to do tempo stuff. When we have like Erika, Aurelion Soul, Infinite Mind Splitter, I think we just want to give this a little bit of time. Okay. How do we feel in terms of what if next turn we just play like the Infinite Mind Splitter and pass? And then we look to just like stun down 2 units and then we can get back to like rallying and getting more combats happening. I think I'm kind of okay with that. Stop and see what happens. I think we're going to be forced into combat. Come the gems, you got it. We're getting a little low as well. Oh, these bros out here have overwhelm. I don't like how this really shook itself out. I mean, we can do something like... It's like we can Strafing Strike Zoe, so our Shyvana grows, and then put the Shyvana in front of Crystal Ibex. But does that prevent more damage, right? She's going to be... I think this is fine. He has a combat trick, we're kind of hosed, but... This drops us to 5, and then we can look to Dragon... we can, I guess, Captain Erika, the Nyandroid. Okay. Fuck. We're dead. Okay. I think that was a decent way to go about it, though. Realize that we're not on the Shyvana plan. I think we probably messed that one up at some point, though. We should have played more towards that Grand Plaza and just kept the board empty. I think it took me a turn too late to realize that the game plan wasn't some kind of tempo play, but the game plan was to be a control deck and play to Captain Eureka and play towards the Aurelion Soul. I think that was the problem there. But here, let's add in the Molten Breath and move on. Yeah, like it's tough. That's kind of like what we get for playing the we played the 1/3 for the dragon. It was, you know, a little greedy to just be searching it out, but if we hit any of the, you can hit the 2-cost dragon, and then there's 2 4s. That's not too many. So I think we should have just been trying to attack his units down off of the board and played towards the big cards in our hand. But I mean, the one of the big cards we were looking to play towards in our hand, though, was the what's it called? The Infinite Mind Splitter, which we did pick up off of the 1/3, and so it was just kind of a Rika Aurelion Soul in our hand. But all right, back to the action. We did play this guy earlier, this Aurelion Soul Ash deck. He was the one that we boomed with with the Empyrean and the Riposts, and so I'm sure he's ready for vengeance. We'll see how this plays out here. Sure. All right, he's getting the aggro edge on us, but we had some. Our units should just be bigger than his. Turns out we got all these 3 4s. You disconnect? Is this going to be our second rage quit on the day? You can't be rage quitting here. So you gotta give it a little bit more time. Okay. So many fleet feather trackers. I think that's where we want to go. Like, we'll have like the 5 actual mana along with.
They would fall by my blade.
Oh, hang on. I shouldn't have played Fiora. I was gonna say I want to be able to Cavalier plus Riposte, but we can switch to this plan now. The Grand Plaza was a nice draw. Is this going to hit us with harsh winds? That's fine. I mean, I'm more than happy to trade 4 mana for 6. And next turn we can recover a little bit with the Cavalier Riposte.
I will unite the Freljord.
Wow. Ash was the one to get the hit with the Outriders. That's insane. He's not even playing 3 copies of Ash. All right, my dude. That's one way to pop off. So it is a little worrisome for next turn. It's like there's so many like flash freeze kind of cards you can have with this Ash. But I think what might end up being our saving grace here is if he wants to make a big crystal arrow play, it's going to have to be it's a slow spell, and so he can start off his next turn with the crystal arrow, but then we can Captain Eureka Ash, and then if they have a second Ash, then it kind of is what it is. But I think this is okay, and then we do have like the Riposte Cavalier for next turn. And a draw, so we can play just about everything in our deck. Even picking up like a big dragon or something would be quite nice. Gotta see what turns up. Single combat. That's not a unit. And flash freeze. Yep.
The time is right. Strike now.
So that'll flip the Ash. I still think we had to just go for it. And right, the same thing here kind of applies. We were just talking about as to where if he wants to try and make a Crystal Arrow play on us next turn, then we can just pop Ash with Captain Erika. And a Fury of the North? Sure. Okay. I guess one of the downsides here is this Ash does have Overwhelm, so he can just like open and get a big chunk in. Hope we can drop the Erika. Rummel. Wow. Okay. Okay. Make some sad noises and stuff. So then the downside here is whenever you capture these units, they come back to their same state, right? Ash doesn't come back as just the 5/3 or whatever, and she comes back and makes a Crystal Arrow. Kind of crappy. Okay.
Flyer standard with pride.
So how do we feel about this? I mean, he is tapped out. It's like we can look next turn to say like the thing I'm getting at here is that we can like strafing strike down the Starlit Seer and have that potentially be good, but all right, let's just prevent some damage, I guess. It's just like that was kind of a good opportunity to try and pop this thing down. Oh, sweet, a Molten Breath with no dragons. Fuck me. So it's like this is just like the worst set of draws we could ever get. What a shitty, shitty time for all this stuff to turn up. Alright, well, let's slam into Rummel and see if we hit anything interesting. He's just gonna get flash frozen. Protege. Fuck. There's not enough sad noises that we can make. What a shitty set of draws.
Stars have so much to tell us.
Alright, it's a dragon. Oh my god. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna open on us? It's like kind of the somewhat promising thing we have with these is being able to play 2 spells and try and take down the Rummel. Interesting. Do we have enough mana for all of this? No. Okay. Alright. So, we have to put the Captain Erika in front of the Rummel. Otherwise, we're going to... Oh, hang on. Can't do that. So we are just dead. Alright. Oh, man, what a sad way to go. We had so much fun, like, 2 games ago, and then just for that, like, complete low roll of a hand. Fucking insane. But, it is what it is, you know. We got our fun game on board, and that was the important thing out of that one. That last game was just... that was like one of those games as to where I talk about magic and like the ultimate. It wasn't like a magic draw to where you're just not in it. It's just frustrating in the terms of what our deck provided, and we just drew the wrong half of our deck at the wrong time. And so it's like especially painful for this one, from where we only have like seven spells on it that just don't generate units. Right? We only have 9 spells in our deck, and Like some of those are like Blinding Assault, there's Beyond the Infinite, and the Star Charts, all of which make units. It's like the only spells in our deck that were just so bad in that space were the Molten Breath and the single combats that couldn't combat with his units. And it's just like such a bad spot to not draw units with the Grand Plaza on the board. And it's like you can draw just like literally anything to fight that Rummel, and just to not have it. And poof, that was a sad one to have go. But that's the way the dice roll sometimes. And so, yeah. Anyways, I feel like we at least touched on the highlights to Aurelion Sol. It's been quite a while since we've drafted her. The big things to always consider are A, am I going to be dragons, or B, am I going to be invokes? You can't really do both, right? It's just you really want to be ramping up your synergies, and having half of a dragons deck and half of an invokes deck doesn't really do it. The next thing to remember is that your early game is dog shit and your interactivity is dog shit. The real strength of Aurelion Sol and the Targon is in the late game, and you need to find something to do in the early game. You can't land on these decks that just have a bunch of invokes and a bunch of moon dreamers and a bunch of challenger dragons or cadrigens or whatever. You have to find something that lets you do stuff in the early game. And Demacia, pretty good at that. If you're drafting around the dragons, you can pretty easily pick up the likes of the Egghead Researchers and the Dragon Guard Lieutenants. But if you venture away from Demacia, make sure that you find something to do in the early game. It's why, if we looked at that, say, like Bilgewater, they have decent early game, but it's overly aggressive. I forget what the other pack was. I think it was maybe PNZ, but they don't function well in the early game either. And so make sure you find something in the early game to do. You can't run into these games to where it's turn 5, turn 6, and you have a bunch of 4s and 5s and 6 drops in your hand, and you can't drop multiple cards. So try to keep that in mind as well. In terms of the combat tricks, I think that's always the big one to talk about. You want cards like Ranger's Resolve, you want Radiant Strikes, even things like Sharp Sight are okay. Things like Prismatic Barriers and Riposts and Back-to-Backs all tend to be a little bit too expensive. You're not upset to have like one copy, but if you're having, again, those turns to where it's turn 6 and you don't have any spell mana, or you have one spell mana and you want to add a Challenger Dragon, but you can't play your combat tricks with it, like that just gets you into being a hot mess. And so snatch up these early combat tricks if you can, because you're going to be a pretty heavy curve deck from that point forward. And yeah, I think that touches it. We mainly talked about the dragons today because that's what we were drafting around. We'll leave the invokes for another day, but a lot of the same rules apply if you want to jump in there real quick. You got to find the early game, so that's typically like the Daybreak and the Nightfall invoke. And Startled Stomper is your unit du jour. You got to have just some dude to put on the board, and that is usually the 2-drop that you're stuck with. But yeah, interesting draft. It is, kind of strange. You see so much Shyvana these days because they have the 3 Shyvana archetypes, and there's all the Demacia running around because it's just the best faction in Expedition. And it's a little bit different jumping into the Aurelion Sol side of things as opposed to being in the Shyvana side of things. And so it was a nice little thing to touch on here. It's a little unfortunate we didn't take it the whole way, but I think we had a good draft here. We had some good fun, and hopefully you all gathered something from all of that. And so, yeah, still no rewards out here. Sorry for you reward lovers. It's just not your day, and that is going to do it. And so, I hope you all enjoyed the trial. You maybe learned how to take the path of the dragon a little bit better, learned a thing or two along the way, and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.